First of all, I would like to say thank you to Carol Armstrong and to Dean Storr for allowing me to be here. It's going to be hard to leave Yale. It's been an incredibly generous, supportive, and fabulous community. And I think yesterday was a show of that. It also is a sparker. And when you are with passionate people, you can't help but be sparked by them. So my first thing is to go on a diatribe, a kind of digression before I start. And I hope it's as good as it was at 1:30 this morning, because that's when I got up to do 2 hours of research because of what was said yesterday. And it's not going to take 2 hours to tell you. I hope you will relax on that. But the whole question yesterday about who is Olympia, ce n'est pas une prostituée, well then who is she? What is this thing about identity? And the thought that struck me the most is that what Olympia, the black maid, and the black cat have all in common is that they are not people. Literally. So in this book, Shao Suwenwire, Sisters or Citizens, Women and Socialism in France since 1876. French law of the Third Republic, Napoleonic Code. Women had no standing in law, no citizenship in the Republic. So in 1882, a French League for Women's Rights was started, and that was just to lay the complaints of what was to be addressed for women. In 1884, divorce was reestablished. In 1897, women could be witnesses for baptisms and marriages, but not for deaths. In 1907, women could bring suits to law courts if they owned that business, and if it was approved. In 1908, women had the right to elect, 1907, they had the right to elect members to the Prud'homme, which must have been a kind of court. In 1908, they had to be the right to be elected to them. In 1912, women were allowed to bring paternity suits, but only if they had written proof. In 1922, the Senate rejected the right of women to have the vote. It wasn't until after the Second World War that women became citizens and could vote. So when we look at Olympia and we wonder who she is, she belongs to somebody. She belongs to somebody. So that means that the personal pronoun, the possessive pronoun, his, becomes an adjective. His wife, his woman, his girlfriend, his live-in, his maid, his, because it's a show of possession. Because somebody possesses her. She's not a person. Her daddy owns her until she's 25 years old and gets to the age of majority. And after that, her husband owns her if she marries. When she marries and she gets a dowry, her husband is allowed to spend it any way he wants. He can have his mistresses and spend it all on her. He can do whatever he wants. It's his money, his property. She doesn't have any. So when we look at Olympia, and from that lens, from that standpoint, it kind of shifts things for me. You know, it's like this face and this nude body, it's his model that we're looking at. And when we see that blank expression, is it defiance? Is it defiance? Like, even though I'm nude, even though I'm his model, I'm me. When she cups her hand over her genitals and she does it firmly, is that saying, I will tell you if you have entry or not. I own myself. And that's what I got last night. Now, if I calm down, I can go on to my presentation.
What about the maid and the cat?
Well, they are not people.
Did you say Olympia was not a person?
Yeah, they're all
That's
not-
right.
Yeah, they're all not persons.
That's what they all have in common. The black maid, the black cat, and Olympia are all not people. They are not persons in law.
It's really his imagination.
Well, what I wanted to look at, because so many interesting things were brought up about how to look at it. You know, we were looking at from the natural historical point of view and from economics point of view and different things like that. Then let's take a look at it from the legal point of view. And I just wanted to bring the law and society's times and economics into this period in which Manon painted and exhibited this painting. Because that's the setting. That's the setting in which it was painted, and that's the setting in which it was seen. That's the point of that. Okay. Now, it really does upset me.
Well, things have changed a little.
I agree. But this would not have happened if I had not been here yesterday and everyone else's talks. That's the point on that too. And that's why it's so important to get together and express our ideas together, because we're all sparking each other. And that's the beauty of that. Inspiration. Reinterpreting the reclining nude is the point of my talk. And I wanted to talk about how a lot of art history is made by artists riffing on each other's works. I did it myself, and that's my Olympia. And so to go to, because I took that riff from Manon, I wanted to show Manon's riff, just to kind of have a kind of like a timeline on that. So, as was pointed out yesterday, this is just a small piece of a larger piece in a corner on which Manon then based this work. And the thing that I also wanted to say is that sometimes you get ideas from people, and many people get ideas, but how do you execute an idea is kind of like telling a moment what you do with what you have. And so when you look at Manon's work and you look at his brushstrokes and you look at the color and you look at the genius of painting, other people could have taken that. They couldn't have made this. So it's not. I'm just making sure that everyone knows. I think Manon is a great painter. Now, when I painted this. This is a portrait of Emily Carr. It was taken in 1912, the actual archival photograph. I did not change the composition of this. The elements are exactly the same. All I did was put color to it. But when I saw this pose, apparently I've got a little red dot here, and I saw that pose, I mean, I immediately made this kind of correlation between the two, and then used Manon's palette. And the only kind of direct reference that I kind of changed is when this little piece of cloth was here, I just kind of made reference to it here. You know what? I had the absolute pleasure of seeing this last week in person, and it just made me, I couldn't believe it, the Titian's Venus. I was looking for the face. Where did this face come from? And because it was new, it was a new face. Because before that time, if it wasn't biblical or religious or a seductive pose, we didn't see this face. This face is a new face. It's a seductive pose, but a neutral face. And we haven't seen this combination before. So where did it come from? So I knew that Manon had been influenced a lot by Raphael, so I went looking into Raphael's work, and this was the closest I could come to seeing where Manon might have found inspiration. And so that's what brought me there. I blew it up, just trying to see, okay, where am I? And I sort of felt I was fanciful with it. I really felt that it wasn't really there. But what I did get out of it was thinking that perhaps what Manon had done was a blending of archetypes. where he had taken the kind of like the virgin and the courtesan and kind of blended the two motifs. And the archetype of the virgin, she is rarely tilted. You know, she's an upstanding citizen. She's just kind of straight ahead most of the time with her axis, north-south. The courtesan has often got that sort of like, you know, suggestive tilt. And so that's where I went with that, just so you see the thought process.